already had some one-on-one conversations with me. We need to, wrap those things up and make sure that you're getting that support. Some of you all want to join our cohort. That's a great thing. That gives you 6 months of working with me one-on-one and having the support of a VA to be able to help you. So that's a thing. But then some of you are just like, I just need to have something visual that I can go ahead and just check it off. Anybody else like to check things off the list? I'm a check boxer for sure, right? Because it feels good, right? So when you cross things off that you've actually done and you set out to do them and it's like it's done, then that's a good thing. So there's varying levels, and I do understand. And so whatever I can do to support you on those varying levels, then that's what I want to do. Right. So when you're thinking about that action plan, you want to put into place some market research. You want to figure out what your financing options are. So we didn't really talk about money a ton. And the reason why is because money is the easiest thing to get in real estate investing. When you're investing in real estate, there are so many lenders that are looking to give you money. I had a lender today text me and say, "Hey, I can get you. Do you have a deal?" And I'm like, I was thinking about buying this property. Oh, let me look at it. If you want, I can do 100% financing. I know that you're experienced. What can I do to get you financed by the end of the month? And so those things happen in real estate because a lot of lenders are in the business that's their business, right? So they make money when you borrow. So for them to be able to close deals, they are like, okay, let me reach out to the people that I know that are always looking for deals and maybe they were having some trouble financing those. And my job is to be able to help them finance their deals so that I can do what I'm doing as far as my lending business. So I don't talk about money a ton for another reason is because it is very specific to the person, right? So I could give you examples of how lenders will give you 100% financing, or they will fund you based on just your business, or they'll fund you, as you being a guarantor. But if I don't know much about where you stand financially, then those things can be like over your head. You're like, what the heck? This doesn't apply to me, right? Or it does apply to me, and I don't necessarily want to go that route, right? But we'll talk about money for just a little bit tonight, right? When you're thinking about financing a real estate transaction, most of us are going to use what they call hard money, right? The reason why we use hard money or private financing is because those properties are usually distressed, right? So remember how we talked about last night, how we need to buy the ugly home. We need to buy the home that doesn't look too good. It's a grandmom house. It has good bones, quote unquote, but it still needs some love. It needs some paint. It needs some floors. It needs some, new doors, windows, minor cosmetic things. But it's not to the point that it can be financed, traditionally. It's going to need some repairs. So typically when you do that, you're able to get your lender in there to finance the ugly house, and they will give you the money to fix up the property, right? So you may purchase a property for, say, let's see, I probably have a pretty, let me pull up an example. But when you are financing a property, it doesn't necessarily have to be that you are coming out of pocket with a ton of money. Now, that is also relative to who you are, right? Because a lot of money for some people could be $5,000. It could be $1,000, right? Or it could be like $20,000, right? So a lot of money could mean a lot of things. But what I suggest is that you figure out what your threshold is, right? If you can figure out, well, my threshold is that I'm okay with purchasing, or I'm okay with having a property that, I don't know what the heck is on my face. I'm okay with having a property that, cash flows a certain amount. I'm okay with investing. And when I say investing, remember, when you're investing the money, that doesn't mean that you are going to get an immediate return, right? Most investments take about 3 to 6 months to actually get you a return. So if that's the case, you need to be okay with parting with that money and investing it and knowing that it's working for you and it will work for you in a period of time, but you can be okay with it just kind of leaving your pocketbook. That's the hardest thing. Typically when people close, they're okay up until the closing, and I'm like, hey, okay, the title company needs a check for X amount of dollars. They're like, oh wait, like, okay, that's a lot of money, right? And it is, right? And so your mindset has to be okay with letting that go. So if I tell me what a lot of money is for you all, just put it in the chat. What is the definition of a lot of money? Just give me a dollar amount. Let me know. Because again, it's going to be different for everybody. It's not going to be the same. A lot of money for me is still, $10,000. Like, okay, that's a lot. Right? I have to I'm getting a house rewired, and it's a larger house. It's probably about 3,000 square feet. But the bill came back at $16,000. That's a lot of money, right? And so um I have to swallow a hard pill every time I get a bill like that, right? And so tell me what a lot of money is to you. $20,000, Alberta. Yeah, that's a lot. Anybody else? Definition of a lot of money. Because believe me, it can get up there. So let's just look at, while you guys are doing that, let's just look at this property. This was one that I sent to my 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 ladies this this oops, where's, hold on 1 second, I'm sorry. Here we go. 8,000. A lot, yes. That's a lot. That's a lot of money. Okay. So this is a house that I went through in West Oak Lane on Monday. And so every couple weeks, or every week really, it turns out to be, I send my group a list of properties, or a list, or a deal, what we call a deal desk. And it basically is a deal that I break down that's for sale and offer it to the group to see if they wanted to take advantage of the opportunity. This house happens to be a house that it's not listed yet. It's on Like Come Bike. Um, and let me see. This is a video. Let's see. This is the basement. It's turned on to the side. But what kind of heat is it? It's a gas heater. Remember me talking to the seller. Okay. So the awesome thing about this is that she was able to get money from the city to get all of her major systems in her home replaced. And so it just needs cosmetic, but it doesn't need a new heater. It doesn't need a new roof, even though you see all of this coming down. It's she needed to paint, but because the roof was bad, but the roof is only a year old. And then the heater is only a year old, and the water heater is 2 years old. So that's a thing, right? So she wants to sell this house. She's going to sell it for $100,000. And she is ready to go, right? And so what we did, or what we're working on with crafting a deal, is going ahead and being able to get 100% financing for this one. The person that buys this will only need about $14,000 to close. And with that money, they'll close, and then they'll get what they call draws, right? So draws are you are when you have um, um, you put out the money, and then the lender reimburse you for the money that you spend on the property. And so this is a simple one. Just because the wiring is done, and this really just needs like some cosmetic touches. Of course, all of her stuff will move out. She's going to move into an apartment community, and I would come in here and I would take and strip all of the floors off. I would strip the kitchen. I would strip the bathroom, and then I would go over the ceilings with a thin layer of sheetrock, and I would paint this bad boy, put some floors down, and rent this out, right? So when we did the analyst on this, and I can show you all, hold on. So when we did the analysis on this, we looked at the numbers, and this one is not necessarily um, a good Section 8 property because of the area, the rent that's getting, but we were able to see that properties in the area rent for about $1,800. So the rent for this, we would get 1850. We would do, like I said, $100,000 is the purchase price. The after repair value of the house is $235,000. So that's just looking at the comps, and we can look at the comps in a minute. And then the um, actual rehab budget was about $50,000 to get it all just brand new in there. And then after all of everything is said and done, so $1,850 for rent. The mortgage would be a 30-year mortgage at 8%. Investor rates are a lot higher than your conventional rates or your rates for, for owner occupied units. So right now they're 8%. So the mortgage would be $953. The taxes are $1790 a year. So that comes out to be $149 a month. The insurance is about $1,200 a year. It's about $100 a month. Your maintenance reserve is $185. So I always, always, always encourage everyone to have a maintenance reserve or a reserve of money where if something goes wrong, you're not just stuck in the middle of the winter having to replace something like whatever. So I advise you all to put that money away. I got you, Alberta. Put your question in the Q&A box for me, please. And then the total income on this one is $461.94. So she will every month, I mean, the investor will on this one make $461. And like I said, I think we got the closing cost to about $14,000, right? So this is an ideal situation for people, for an investor. The best part about this deal is that the equity after rehab is about $85,000. So if you were to once you do a refi, if you wanted to take some of the equity out, you could take out $68,000 of the equity in this property, and you could roll it into the next investment, and it still cash flows for you. And that's how you see people with like 10, 20 properties. That's what they're doing. They're just rolling the equity from the first property into the next, into the next, into the next. And that's what I'm going to advise this advisor to do, or I'm sorry, this investor to do. And when you do this, this is how you build wealth. We focus on rental properties in my program because rental properties are how you build wealth. This property will appreciate in value every single year because of the area, and it will grow in appreciation and grow in value just by it being under ownership and not necessarily for any other reason, right? So if you are a homeowner and you know that your property value is going up year after year, you're not necessarily doing like major fixes to the house. You're just living there, maintaining the property, and you see property values going up and up and up. It's the same thing. And so this is what I encourage every single investor to do starting out. Don't get into the huge renovation projects, because when you do, you will find that it gets a lot harder to build those contractor relationships. And so on Saturday when we meet, there'll be some talks about how contractors and what that part that they play in the whole process. But you'll be able to see that if you just start with something cosmetic, there are so many resources for you to be able to get people in to get those cosmetic finishes done. And then you move on to like a bigger project. Does everybody follow me on that? Put a yes if that's okay, if that makes sense. I would suggest holding this one. Yep, I would. I'll hold this one. I would let this be like the cornerstone of my portfolio. So I would hold this one, take the equity out, roll it up, roll it up, roll it up, and keep rolling it up. Yes, makes sense. Okay, good. So you definitely want to insert yourself into something like this. And the best way to do this is, again, focusing on what your investment strategy is. Remember, we're only going to focus on what we want to do. Don't focus on anything else. So a lot of times we get sidelined because we hear all of these wonderful things and all of this, this wealth and money that is made in real estate investing. So you're like, okay, let me do Airbnb, let me do midterm rental, let me do home healthcare homes, let me do event spaces, let me do all the things. All of it works, right? Every last strategy that I just named and so many more work. They all make you money. They all can make you wealthy. They can all make you a millionaire, all of them, every single one. And that's just the truth. However, if you don't focus on just one and go deep in the one, then you will never get to your goal. Because when we spread ourselves thin and we try to do everything, we usually don't do anything. You can only focus on, most of us by nature, everybody, especially as women, we feel that we are just like these master multitaskers. We really are not. Right? It doesn't matter who or what it is. If you're trying to do a billion things, like if you're listening to me, if you're watching this and you're cooking, just for instance, I don't know, I don't have a screen, I don't see you all, but I will see you all on Sunday. I'm not gonna get away with it on Sunday. But just say you are doing this and you're looking and you're listening to me. There's no way for you to focus on me and like text someone or scroll on Instagram, right? And really get all of the value that's right here. And a lot of times that's what happens. Our attention is divided. So if you're trying to do so many strategies and trying to gain, just this wealth off of so many things, and I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, and then wind up not being able to do anything, that's when life gets so hectic that you just want to cry, right? Literally. And I say that because it's me, right? I'm multi-passionate. I'm a high achiever. I want to do wonderful things. But when I try to spread myself on different strategies and try to do this and that, I'm not able to focus. And I'm not saying that you can't multitask um, or you can't do multiple strategies, but you do need to focus on one, become the master at that, and then go deeper and then spread out and spread out with a team. One of my favorite books is Who Not How, right? So when you think about building this portfolio, you got to think about who that can help you do this, not how, right? Let the who figure out the how, right? So let the person that you hire, let the person that you partner with, let them figure out the how while you're working in your zone of genius. Because most of us are amazing at multiple things, but we have that one thing that we can do with our eyes closed. And when you find that and when you have that, that's the thing that you do, and you get everyone else around you to help you with the things that you're not so good at. And when you do that, you become so much better and focused. And when you release it, right? Because most of us hold on to all of the things that we're like, oh God, I gotta do this. My husband can't do this, right? I gotta do this. My kids can't do this. When we earlier this year, when we were getting the midterm rental together, my daughter, she's 21, and I needed, we were in the finishing stages, we were putting things together, and we were putting pillows together and, just doing all of the finishing touches. But I was busy, right? I was busy with my clients. I was busy with another project that we're working on. It was just all these things. I'm like, okay, let me allow her to just go ahead and go over to the house and do the things. I'm going to list out what I need her to do, and I'm going to get her to do it. And she did it. And it wasn't necessarily the way that I would do it, but it was good enough. Anybody okay with good enough? Let me know. Because I think that we put perfection on to everything that we do. And when we do that, we don't get to our goal because we're waiting for perfection. Anybody there? Let me show you what you got. Let me show you what she did. Hold on. Let me see if I can pull it up really quick. Because I was like, I'm just going to just surrender. My friend was like, you know what? You're doing so much. Allow us to help you. And at the end, I was so tired. I was like, yep, come on. And they did. And they did a really good job. So let me show you guys. So I've got to be okay. I've gotten to be okay with good enough. I love that. Erica said yes. Alberta said yes. Absolutely. Okay. So I think, let me see. Alberta's been to this house. Yes, Alberta's been to this house. I don't think anybody else on has been to this house. But my daughter, my little baby that has been following me around since a little girl, she decorated this house. And she made this property pop. And I was like, I'm gonna just release it. I even released the card to Target. I said, go ahead, honey, do your thing, order what you think needs to go in. And she did this, and she had some direction for me. Of course, that's her puppy. They're inseparable. They don't go anywhere without each other. But my daughter did this house, and this house rents for, like I told you guys, $29.50. And this is her, right? And I came in and I did my little touches. I'm not going, but she was able to place the stuff. She was able to get her brother to help her put together furniture, and they did this. And I had to release this into their hands so that I could pay attention to the high level stuff that I needed to do. And it's nothing wrong. This could be what you love. Like most people, most women, they like, well, Jasmine, I love this part. I get it. I'm not telling you not to do it. But when it comes down to the wire, be strong enough to delegate, right? Because then you're going to be able to say, you know what? It's released. They spent maybe a week of after school. After my son gets out at 3:00, they were over there at 3:00 until about let's see, 7-ish, right? Every day. And they did this. They did an amazing job. I did the construction. I have a really good team, but all of the finishes, she got someone off of Thumbtack to hang all the shelves. All of the pictures were professionally hung. We got someone off of Thumbtack to do that. And she did this entire thing. And had I not let her, it would probably still be in a state where it's not done, simply because I would have just said, okay, I'm gonna get to it, and then kind of try to put that off. So this is what release looks like, right? Release looks like, hey, you know what? It can get done. We're not gonna worry about it. And it's gonna get done to the best of the person that I put in charge's ability, and we can always fix it. And when you release, that's what happened. So don't be afraid of the release, because what I see a lot in women is that they don't want to release. So when you're thinking about building that team out, right? Because that's a part of it, that's a part of putting that plan to action. The real estate agent that you hire has to be 100% competent. Right. So we do have real estate agents in our program. We have real estate agents on tonight. We have real estate agents in our community. That's awesome. Right. So if you are going to be your own agent, That's how I started. I was my own agent. I'm always still going to be my own agent because I know my business more than anybody. But if you're not a realtor and you are looking to hire someone, make sure that they're either an investor themselves or have represented more than 10 investors in the market that you're investing in. That's important because an investor that just does first time home buyers, it's nothing wrong with it, but they don't necessarily know the numbers that kind of make it a good deal for you. So they're just giving you things. And even if you come to them with your buy box, they may not know how to identify those properties. You want to have someone who's either investing themselves or um, is representing investors all of the time, and they're finding good deals. Cheap does not necessarily mean good deal, right? We've learned that over these last couple of days. Just because a property is $50,000, it doesn't automatically make it a good deal if it needs $150,000 worth of work, right? And so identifying that is really important. The other person that's going to be on your team is a mortgage person, right? That mortgage person is not, again, not someone that you just like walk into Bank of America or one of your local banks. You want to talk to someone who specifically deals with investing, right? Investing loans are important. They are very different than just your traditional loans. Conventional loans are one thing, but you want to really focus on someone who knows how to deal with investors, because you're not going to come with a property that can be appraised today for what it's worth. You need to have someone who can see the vision of you doing the renovations on a property in order for you to be able to move forward. So mortgage broker is definitely someone who you want to work with. An attorney, I definitely feel like you should have an attorney. Even and I would even say, even if you are part of like some of those like legal like those subscription legal services where you can get an attorney on the phone, that type of thing, start there. But you want to have some sort of legal advisement. There are things that your real estate agent should not be advising you of. There are questions that I get all of the time that I know my personal response to them, but because I'm not an attorney, I don't answer them because it's too much at risk, right? It's too much at stake. You're not going to get me, right? So I'm going to always refer you to an attorney, right? So I don't necessarily think that should have a attorney on retainer from day one, but you do want to think about, if you don't already have a family attorney, look for some referrals there, right? The next thing is an accountant, right? An accountant. This is going to be very, very, very important as an investor, because as an investor, you can take the tax breaks of depreciation and things like that. But if you don't have an accountant that's used to dealing with investors or someone who really knows the tax law to be able to get you those tax credits, you're going to miss out and you're going to owe more than you should. You have to have someone who is experienced there. In addition to that, some of us go to like tax preparation places. Those are not CPAs. Those aren't accountants. Those are tax preparers. So you will have to step it up, and an accountant could be $300 to prepare your tax return versus $97, right? But it's so much more important to have that up front so that your bookkeeping is in order and you're able to go ahead and get things done. How many people are going to hire a property manager? Mhm. Okay. Okay, cool. So if that's the case, that's awesome. Property managers are definitely good. Remember that that's going to cut into your bottom line. Um, it's I think there's so many choices out there and so many decisions to make. I think that going with Section 8, you may find that it's an easier process for you to manage the property yourself. Um, if you are, especially since you get a direct deposit from Section 8 and you can kind of manage the maintenance part yourself, especially if you renovate the property. But if you're doing, out of state and things like that, or the portfolio is really big, then you may want to hire a property manager. And then, of course, choosing your team, right, comes with recommendations and reviews. People that you are spending time with that may be doing this already or has a realtor that they use for an investment property or that they recommend that's really good. Most realtors, if they don't do investment properties, they'll tell you that and they'll recommend you one, right? And so interview with these people, consult with these folks, right? Talk to them and just, a lot of them have a free 15-minute, session or consultation or what have you. Talk to them so that you can get the full scope of what is happening on this investment so that you can go ahead and take the steps and choose the person that you feel like is a fit, right? So when you're thinking about that rental property plan, there's only a few steps. And I'm actually going to go over this on Sunday because I know that there were people that couldn't get in on Tuesday. And so this is like going to be my grand finale, right? But I want you all to think about some of these steps, right? We talked about the why. We talk about a smart plan. So let me show you a smart plan of what that looks like. Anybody do any smart planning on their own? Let me know. Let me know. Right. So whenever I typically, let me see. No, okay. So I typically, when I am planning something out, I don't necessarily plan for the year. Right. I may have an overarching goal, but I do 12 weeks out. So this was Sunday, right, probably Sunday afternoon. I will go through and I will put together a 12-week plan for myself for the final quarter of this year, right? I'll set the goal. I'll make sure that it's a specific goal. It's measurable, it's achievable, and it's relevant, and it has some sort of time connected to it. So it's not just like when Jasmine feels like it should be done, it's going to have a timeline to it, right? And so I'll go over this and do this with you all so that you can get in practice of this. In fact, I will give you all a copy of this because it's very, very valuable. But when you are outlining a plan, then you want to have your strategies behind. So if you need to get your personal finances in order, then you need to have a strategy. What needs to happen with your personal finances? Let's be specific of what needs to happen, right? Does it mean that you need to get a savings plan together? Does it mean that you need to get your credit fixed? Does it mean that you need to look at your finances to see where your retirement accounts are? Whatever it is, you're going to put the strategies out and list the strategies so that you're specifically moving the needle forward on your goals and not just saying, my credit score is in the dumps. I have student loans that need to get back into repayment. They need to go on forbearance. Put something together so that you can check it off and get it done, right? And it doesn't necessarily have to do with your finances. Of course, that's what we're talking about all week, but it could be home organization. I have at my door, I don't know if anybody else has this, but I have a drawer of just like random mail, right? Like stuff that could be thrown away, but I have to go through it. It could be bills, it could be, things like that. And because I pay most of my bills online, I don't typically open my bills. Anybody don't open their bills because they pay them online anyway. So things that I get kind of pile there, right? And it's a pile. It's like a pile, right? And so I need to go through that stuff. I need to get my life together there, right? We have a junk drawer. Like, who still has those, right? We need to organize that. Um, the beginning of August, my car got stolen, like literally stolen. And it was very scary. Not a great feeling. But one of the things, and one of the things that I kicked myself for is because I have a 2-car garage and I don't park in there because it's not organized, right? And so I need to get my life together. I need to get my home organized so that life flows a lot easier and we're thinking about our safety and all the things, and this helps, right? And so it doesn't necessarily have to be financial, but putting together some smart goals that are going to allow you to say, okay, this is what we're going to do and tackle for this quarter you're gonna get these things done. You're gonna kick ass with this stuff, right? Um, could be losing weight. How many people need to lose some weight? Let's be honest, we're all women here. We know how the diet goes. It goes and it comes. The exercise, we go to the gym, and then We don't go. So if that's a part of the SMART goal and you just like you this that's okay, right? Let's put that SMART goal there because we all know that health is wellness, right? And so even if you're not overweight, if you don't feel healthy, if you always feel tired, if you always have low iron, like all the things, and you need to get your stuff together, if you need to schedule that doctor's appointment or see about what's going on with your hair loss or whatever, put that as a goal, right? And so what we do is we do something called a SWOT analysis, right? So a SWOT analysis talks about our strengths, our weaknesses, our opportunities, and our threats, right? So we talk about what we're the most strong in doing. What is your number one strength? List that for me, please. Number one, give me a number one strength. I know we got a ton of strong women here, right? So what is your number one strength? Like the strength of Jasmine, this is what I'm strongest at. Let me know. Let me know. Delegating. Oh, okay. You resourceful. I love that, Nicole. I love delegating. Nobody ever says that, Lauren. That's awesome. Resourceful. Okay, Nicole, that's awesome. Anybody else? What else is the strength? Give me another strength, just one more, please. Y'all like pulling teeth. I'm about to turn y'all in for a new group. Planning. Okay, you're good at planning. Awesome. Okay. So we'll write those down, right? And then weaknesses. This is something we don't want to talk about. Nobody wants to talk about the weaknesses, right? What are the weaknesses in our life? Where are we the most weak? Procrastinating and or not completing something. Okay. What else? Speaking up. Okay. Discipline. I love that. That's a weakness. Overthinking. That's a weakness. Anything else? One more. Give me one more. So one of the other things, so I'll give a weakness. My weakness is organization. So I'm organized like as far as like this type of work, but keeping things together, I'm just not organized. I have to like I cleared out one of my closets and I had my housekeeper come and just like we had so many bags of clothes that I just wasn't ever going to wear anymore. Right. Like it was just like, yes, but you're not going to wear this. You're probably not even going to lose the weight. Even if you lost weight, you probably won't wear this anymore. Right. And so she came and she literally held up everything and said, this one? And I said, nope. And she put it in a bag to donate. This one? Nope. But Briere might can maybe one day use this. And even that I should have put it in the bag to donate. But so I think that I can be organized, but I need assistance. I need to delegate it. So she literally, when she came to clean our house, she came and she did that. And the closet is clear. I wish I could show y'all, but the closet is like awesome, right? Shoes, all the type of stuff. She did the same thing with the kids, right? So she did my son's jeans, things like that, and we were able to like give a huge donation to our organization in the city. And so I can do those things, but I need help, right? And so that's a weakness. When you also think about yourself, you have to think about what opportunities are about to come up in your life. Where opportunities can you take advantage of, right? So you have to think about like, okay, I need money, right? I need capital. What are some of the opportunities? If you thought long and hard about some opportunities where you could pull resources or pull money in order to invest, what are some of the opportunities that you can come up with? And I know that's probably like, I don't know, I don't have nobody, right? But it could be anything, right? There are ways, I did this exercise with someone before and she was like, I didn't even realize that I could pull money from like all of these places. And what she did was she's a part of a birthday club at work. and she was about to come up on her birthday month, and apparently they all put in, and then they're able to pull out like hundreds of dollars, and that was an opportunity, right? It was some other opportunities for her to be able to like do surveys to be able to gain more money. So we have to think about our opportunities in order for us. So it doesn't necessarily have to be money, but what opportunities are going to be in place for us to take advantage of to be able to get to the next level. And then the last thing are threats, right? And so threats are a real thing, right? We don't necessarily want to talk about those, just like we don't want to talk about weaknesses. But what are some of the threats in your way that you can foresee that are going to prevent you from investing in real estate over the next 90 days? Let's just give it a 90-day period. What are some of those threats that you see that you can foresee for yourself, just kind of knowing what's up in your life? Family. Okay. That's a big thing. And family could mean a lot of things. Family could mean telling you not to do it. Family could mean not having the resources, not being supportive, not not loving on you, work getting in my way, busy season. That's a big thing, right? Because we need them, right? And so we have to figure out what we can do in order to get into a better position. Anything else? Work. Okay. That's the thing. Any other threats? And so this is good to do. You sit down and you really focus in on getting this done. And this allows you to really have at it when it comes to getting to your goals. So if you do this, you're going to find yourself having a more comprehensive plan versus I want to buy a house or I want to invest in a piece of real estate. This allows you to really get focused and centered in on your goals and be able to figure out what your next steps could be. Because once you start writing down the strategies, it could mean that you do need someone else to help you clean or help you organize or um, help you with your taxes because you haven't filed in a couple years, help you with your credit because you made some mistakes, put together a savings plan. Like learning and knowing what those are and being honest and upfront with yourself will allow you to be able to take the step with your goals and really have some true goals and not just like goals that we just write in our journals and then the journal doesn't get opened up until the end of the year. Does that make sense? Let me know. Any questions? Because what I'm going to do, like I said, is on Sunday, I'm going to have our final session and I am going to go through this. It's really a 90-day plan, but I've condensed it to 6 weeks for you to really start getting things done. And I'm going to go through this in depth. And then also, if anyone wants to get on a strategy call for me, I will have the link and you all can get on a strategy call with me. Some of you all have already done that, but for those who haven't, definitely would love to do that. Any other questions for me tonight? Any other questions about this? Don't be shy. I'm gonna get an inbox. I already know. Y'all gonna inbox me after this. Like, oh wait, Jess, I forgot this. Think about your questions. Let me know. I definitely want to honor that, right? Because when you have your questions and they get answers, then it allows you to like kind of get over that overthinking part that we all do. We all do that. Any other thoughts? Is everybody able to make it on Sunday? I saw 2 people register for Saturday. So I think we're only gonna open up 5 slots. So there's only 3 more slots for Saturday. If you want the link, let me know. No pressure. That is just gonna be really just walking through a property, going through and looking at the like kind of how that deal is set up. In addition to looking at how the deal is set up, then we will go through and walk through my contractor is perfectly going to be able to make it. So he will kind of answer your questions that you have about that piece of it and then be able to go from there. So if you want to come, just let me know and I'll send you the link. All right, ladies. Well, I am going to go to back to school night. If you don't have any questions, I just wanted to make sure that I popped on, gave you some things to think about when it comes to a plan and what your action plan will look like. And we will fully execute it on Sunday so that you guys can walk away with something tangible. And if you have any questions in between time, please, please, please shoot me an email and I will be more than happy to answer them. All right. Thank you. I will talk to you all soon.
The recording has stopped.